The Kum currency, from luxury tents that cost up to 1 lakh a night to budget homestays, from corporate firms to small businesses that hope the event will keep them afloat days ahead of Mahakumbh. Anand Mohan Jay travels to Prayagraj where a pop-up economy has taken shape on the banks of Ganga. Beneath the kaleidoscopic chaos of Mahakumbh Mela in Uttar Pradesh lies an economic juggernaut powered by the faith of estimated 40 crore people. There are 549 projects, 60 40 crore devotees, 7,000 crore budget, 1.6 lakh tents, and 1.5 lakh toilets. The Mela officials estimate revenues of 25,000 crore from the Mela and an overall impact of 2 lakh crore on the economy of Uttar Pradesh. Crumbling foretold Delhi election frames the key question for India: what remains of it and should it even exist? CEO can't see asking employees to put in more hours at the cost of health, family, recreation shows a lack of empathy and ideas. There is a crisis of imagination, and no amount of perks, ESOPs, or staggering six figure salaries seem to square up to it. The future of productivity, if in industry pros are to be believed, lies not in work life balance but in work sublimation. After Narayan Murthy's prescription of a 70-hour work week in 2023, Larsen and Toubro Chairman S.N. Subramaniam has urged employees to put in 90 hours at work every week to even forego weekends in the pursuit of professional excellence. In between, corporate leaders of all stripes, from Bhavesh Agrawal of Ola to Bombing Shaving Company CEO Shantanu Deshpande, have advocated harsher work regimes for a variety of reasons, ranging from character building to nation building. After all, as Subramaniam said in the annual company meeting, how long can you stare at your wife? How long can the wife stare at the husband? He could well be saying who wouldn't want to sacrifice their health, relationships, and interest in exchange for more targets to a workforce struggling with high stress, low income, fewer opportunities, and inadequate support systems. The hard bottom line and cold condescension could not be clearer. Turnover above all. Of course, this hasn't exactly been a secret from employees at the receiving end of HR's exhortations to color-coded festival celebrations, attendance regularization, and impractical targets and supports for little else. As it is, employees in Asian countries work on an average of nearly 49 hours a week, in contrast to 37.9 hours per week in North America and 37 odd hours in Europe. A song sung true, untrained but with an innate understanding of melody, P. Jayachandran's voice transcends the limits of time and language. My friend Manmohan. When Manmohan Singh passed away last month, India lost a statesman who had unusual distinction of having been the Prime Minister for 10 years, Governor of Reserve Bank of India and Head of Planning Commission and the then Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha. But for me the loss was profoundly personal. I had known him for over half a century, ever since we first met in 1954 at St. John's College in Cambridge. Our paths crossed intermittently thereafter. We met again at Oxford when he took his DPhil, where he took his DPhil with a celebrated thesis on India's exports under the distinguished economist Ian Little, and in Delhi when I was in Indian Statistical Institute, then at Delhi Institute of Economics. Sir, St. John's College in Cambridge was the home of great Alfred Marshall, dozen of British doyen of British economists. I was admitted to study economics. On the other hand, Markand Daheja, also from Bombay, had broken records in science and was admitted to study engineering. We came after earning our bachelor degrees since we had parents who could afford to send us to England. Manmohan Singh came from a very modest family in Punjab and had to wait for financial support from the vice chancellor of his university to come to Cambridge. Unlike other students such as myself who attended debates or punted in the river, Manmohan concentrated on his studies. I was impressed also by the fact that before settling down to work through his assignment, took a cold shower in the early morning while his roommates shivered under the several blankets. I speculated that Manmohan would go far, but little did I think one day he would be our prime minister. Later, Later, especially when he joined the United Nations in New York, his first job after completing his doctorate in Oxford, I discovered that Manmohan also had a large heart. Those were the days when Indians were given a pittance by way of foreign exchange when they went abroad. So, numerous friends and even their friends from Punjab arrived in New York and descended on Manmohan, seeking dollars and even expecting him and his wife, Guru Sharan, to put up their home, and they obliged, unwilling or unable to say no. Manmohan's generosity was legendary. I saw it on display as our paths crossed. First, he became the finance minister in 1991 when Narasimha Rao uh, was the prime minister. P.C. Alexander had recommended I.G. Patel and Manmohan as possible candidates, with I.G. being the senior candidate and also, like Manmohan, a Cambridge first in economics, but I.G. apparently declined. It seemed he was cautious because India was in the middle of balance of payments crisis and prospects of a successful tenure of finance minister was dicey. Manmohan accepted. Second, he became the prime minister when Sonia Gandhi was looking for someone who would take the role and hold it until her son was ready, leaving the position without first been asked. So he lost autonomy to the dynasty, and his tenure this time around would be more controversial. Symptom of a larger malady, Blinket's 10-minute ambulance highlights critical gaps in healthcare delivery. The siren of speeding ambulance has come part on the urban life across India. The only way time and caring drivers are willing to give way to fellow citizens is in response to the wailing of an ambulance. An increase in chronic diseases and road accidents has spurred the demand for emergency services and hospitalization. Ambulance services are an important link for transporting patients who require emergency care. For long, ambulances were available only at the hospital. In the 1980s, non-government organizations stepped in, particularly in southern India, to provide voluntary and free ambulance services. Over the last decade, several state governments have provided ambulance services for women in reproductive age group and for children below 5 years. Ambulance services were introduced to transport expectant mothers to healthcare facilities, mostly in urban areas. Under the National Rural Health Mission, ambulance services were introduced in public-private partnership mode. Most recently, several private ambulance services have been introduced by both corporate hospitals and companies. Blinkit, an online delivery service, has recently launched a 10-minute ambulance service in Gurugram. A press release says that ambulances will be equipped with life-saving facilities for patient transport. A 10-minute ambulance service like 30-minute pizza delivery offers sounds far-fetched given the bumper-to-bumper traffic in urban India. It exerts enormous pressure on an ambulance driver, as it is the case with delivery service providers. There is no mention, however, of the cost of Blinkit services, and however it compares to other ambulance services available in the market. According to recent reports, the Indian ambulance market, valued at $1.5 billion in 2022, is prolonged to grow by over 5% uh, compounded annual growth in the 2024 to 28 period. Moreover, there is variation in the availability of ambulance services across states. Western states, including Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Goa, followed by South Indian states with large private healthcare sector, dominate the market for ambulance services. There is, however, a significant shortage in northeastern states. There is much variation in ambulance services offered. These range from just transporting patients with no support services to those having basic life support to ALS units. Each is designed for specific medical needs. While BLS ambulance services are equipped with immediate care like cardiopulmonary response, cardiopulmonary resuscitation response, and oxygen therapy. ALS units offer advanced interventions with cardiac monitors, defibrillators, and ventilators. Additionally, there are specialized swift long distance transport and ICU ambulances. A recent study by Niti Aayog shows that not all these services have required infrastructure, equipment, and technical staff to qualify as ambulance services. Studies evaluating some of these services have suggested a long range of policy issues that need to be addressed. First, one must recognize that large number of so-called ambulance services are nothing more than pa- patient transport facilities. Even in case of roads and traffic congestion in metros, make navigating ambulances in emergency problematic and delay timely treatment. Mere expansion of the ambulance services do not ensure quality. In fact, lack of regulation of quality is a serious concern. Several studies have shown the lack of availability of assured ambulance service required and functioning equipment. The world has failed Afghanistan. Girls and young women, no matter its women cricketers, fled their homeland. 2002 movie Bend It Like Beckham starts with football crazy teen just imagining herself as David Beckman while watching England set piece superstar on television. But then, that's not what girls' families with Indian roots settled in Hounslow, West London are supposed to do. They can't play ball, it's Barbies for them, not training partners. They are supposed to look for life partners. Good Indian girls also don't get coached to master free kicks, they are taught to get that perfect brown on their aloo gobi. The fallen tree on the Akbar Road as the grand old party gets a new house, tales from its address. So many of these constructions should have been declared illegal, but the successive political regimes have looked the other way. Each time Congress ruled Delhi, the urban development or housing minister made it a point to prove his loyalty by bending and flouting rules even further to let 24 Akbar Road expand from within. 24 Akbar Road was not Indira's choice on January 1, 1978, when the then Congress President K. Brahmanand Reddy announced that she has been expelled from the party. Reddy had the support of many powerful leaders such as Y.B. Chauhan. Next is a destination and a journey. Kumbh Mela is not just a religious congregation but also a place to consider the challenges that humanity faces. India is a land of festival. Mahakumbh Mela, set off in the Prayagraj city of Uttar Pradesh in the coming week, is a festival of festival over 40 days. The massive festival of religion and spirituality attracts millions of devotees from across the world, including tens of thousands of non-Hindus. Swami Vivekanand had described India as Dharma Pran Bharat, Bharat with Dharma as the soul. Everything, including festivals, revolves around Dharma. For ease of understanding, we tend to use the word religion for it. But where religion is defined as a set of beliefs in a given card or book, Dharma is the path of continuous exploration for self discovery and purification of one's soul. The religion of Hindus, which is more a creed than a faith, insists on search and inquiry about noble and sacred truths rather than blind beliefs. In a Hindu creed, there are no believers in religion, there are only seekers of truth. Mahatma Gandhi encapsulated this aspect so beautifully by saying, if I were to define the Hindu creed, I should simply say, search after truth through non-violent means. A man may not believe in God and still call himself a Hindu. Hinduism is a relentless pursuit after truth. Truth is God. Denial of God we have known, denial of truth we have not known. All festivals in Hindu tradition are occasion for soul searching and truth seeking. Kumbh Mela is a 12 yearly mega spectacle, is one of such occasions. Religions in the world uh, were born mostly through prophets and sacred books, but the creed of Hindus was born through Bhadra Ichha, benign wish of the sages for Abhyuday, welfare and well-being in his life and hereafter. Hindu history tells us that sages of yore had come together again and again to contemplate and deliberate on the meaning and purpose of existence. Out of those deliberations emerged the benign wish for creating a worldview based on the principles of universal good. Kumbh Mela too began millennia ago on one occasion when the saints and sages came together for weeks to deliberate on the dharma. Like in any other religion, myths abound. Hinduism too, the word myths sometimes evoke negative reactions. Mythology, story, and history too. One such mythological story explains the significance of Kumbh Mela, the context of the battle between Devas, gods, and Asuras for owning Amrit, the holy elixir. At the end of Samudra Manthan, churning of the oceans jointly undertaken by gods and demons, when the holy elixir emerged, a competition emerged between the two groups to capture it. To prevent the Amrit from falling into hands of demons, the divine bird Garud lifted the pitcher and flew away as the Asura and Devas clashed with each other in pursuit of Amrit, which lasted for 12 divine days, equal to 12 human years. A few drops of Amrit fell at four places on earth: Prayagraj, Haridwar, Nashik, and Ujjain. The Kumbh Mela is held at these four places once in 12 years. Kumbh means the pitcher, a reference to the orb from which elixir had dropped. Alright, it began as an assembly of holy men. Kumbh Mela acquired the character of massive human congregation over centuries due to patronage of successive rulers across the countries like Nandas, Guptas, Cholas, and Pallavas. Huan Sang, famous Chinese traveler, had recorded in his travelogue about attending the festival in 7th century. Even some Mughal and British rulers too were said to have patronized the massive spiritual congregation over centuries. In 2017, UNESCO inscribed in the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Western worldview looked at nature as the venue of exploitation for human god, whereas in Hindu tradition, nature is considered divine and integral to the existence of universe. The Atharvaveda is one of the four Vedas dedicated one sukta or chapter to the praise of the earth called Prithvi Sukta. Seeking to instill reverence about Mother Earth and nature, Prithvi Sukta declared Mata Prithvi Putroham Prithviya, meaning the earth is my mother and I am her offspring. All Hindu festivals, including Kumbh Mela, are designed to rekindle the sense of sacredness about nature in human consciousness. Mega festivals like Kumbh Mela are not just religious congregations meant for divine blessing for individuals. They are supposed to be occasions for contemplation and inquiry into the challenges that humanity faces and finds answers to them. Over the last few years, Hindu religious and social order had become lethargic and increasingly confined itself to reveling in rituals and the past. As a result, India's contribution to the world contemporary wisdom became increasingly small. Today, when the world is faced with economic challenges, answers are sought from institutions like the World Economic Forum, and when it comes to challenges of climate, we turn to the COP series of conferences. The solutions that these world dominated institutions offer are not very different from what traditional Indian wisdom can offer. For example, WEF is promoting the idea of stakeholder capitalism as an answer to present challenges. It is not much different from the concept of Dharmakarta in ancient Indian thought. Similarly, India can offer better answers to humanity's challenge of climate than the COP summits that focus on settling limits on climate destruction. The UP government deserves praise for hosting the Kumbh Global Summit on Sustainability and Development as part of the Mela this year to offer Indic vision for climate mitigation. What breaching 1.5 degrees Celsius means, its official 2024 was the official year to breach the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. There was an El Nino prevailing during the 2023 and 24, but it was mildly compared to the 2015 and 2016 event. ECMWF said unusual warming in 23-24 could be because of several other factors, though there was no one dominant reason. Unprecedented El Nino-like systems in multiple ocean regions as one of the possible reasons. The breach does not come as a surprise. As a result, this new data is unlikely to trigger any fresher response measure. Behind LA fires, heat, no rain, Santana. Role of climate change. California experienced its hottest ever June and July, the second hottest October in 2024. Much of Southern California has no rain since July, even though the normal rainy season has already passed. This is the second driest spell in the region for in 150 years. Another 2023 study published in Nature, which analyzed wildfires between 2003 and 2023, noted that frequency of extreme daily wildfire growth has increased by 25% in California compared to pre-industrial times. These winds blow high pressure builds the Great Basin, the area between Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada. Santa Ana winds. These winds blow when high pressure builds between over the Great Basin, the area between Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada, and pressure is lower California coast. The difference in pressure triggers powerful winds that move from basins inland desert east and north of South California towards the Pacific Ocean. Space crunch threats and natural tendency why tigers go on long walks. Tigris ventured east from Odisha, walking 300 kilometers to West Bengal. Another tiger was recently found to have made its way from Uttaranchal to Himachal Pradesh. Typically, a male tiger's larger territory encompasses smaller territory of multiple female tigers, while related tigers may concede space to one another in adjacent ranges. Every male tiger must establish its own territory when it comes to age. Coffee is good for you, but only in the morning. Large study. Why fact checkers have been dumped by Meta, how notes work. 9 years ago, Meta began flagging fake news with help of external fact checkers. Its independent fact checking program was expanded after reports said Russian disinformation campaigns had targeted American voters during the 2016 presidential elections. Community Notes was first piloted as a program called Birdwatch by Twitter in 2021. That is before Elon Musk purchased the platform and renamed it. It allowed users to add facts and context below a specific post. Community notes show that if enough contributors vote that it provided helpful context, anyone on X can add notes if they meet certain criteria. Factory output growth hit 6-month high of 5.2% in November government data. India's factory output, as measured by the Index of Industrial Production, rose to a 6-month high of 5.2% in November from 3.7% in October. Private insurers show 239% jump in motor commission payouts to 16,000 crore rupee, falls further just shy of $86 mark. Mandatory for banks to offer customers fixed interest rate product. The RBI on Friday said it is mandatory for banks to offer fixed interest rate product in all equated installment personal based personal loan categories. ERICT launched Global Innovation Hub in Hyderabad. Central releases 1.73 lakh crore for tax devolution. Niti Aayog exploring ways to find balance between government and corporate debt markets. LA fires, no jail or fine for Trump hush money. How Musk is trying to break Germany's decade-long quarantine on far-right AfD. Musk hosted a live interview with AfD Chancellor candidate where he said voting far-right is simply the sensible move. Black Warrant movie Asura. So this was it for today. Thank you so much for listening. See you in the next one.